Here we go in three, two, one.
Folks, what is up? And welcome back to the Vol Talk podcast. You are here with myself, Blake, and you are here with my brother, Austin. And we are here to talk all things volunteer sports. Today, Austin, we are going to be talking about this baseball tournament coming up. The baseballs are once again headed to the postseason. Tony V is the greatest coach in the country, and we are once again in the baseball postseason. And so we're going to preview this tournament and talk about our thoughts on the prospects. Got a little treat for the viewers tonight. Okay, I got my hat on backwards today. By the time we get to the end, when we reveal our predictions, I'm going to reveal my hat. Now, longtime listeners of the program probably already know what hat this is, but we'll reveal it at the end. But Austin, what's your initial kind of thoughts on the baseball tournament here?
It's gonna be a fun tournament. Loaded bracket, obviously loaded of SEC schools, ACC schools, a lot of teams from the South. It's gonna be interesting, man. Like it felt like the SEC tournament, we were starting to play our best baseball, right? Like we the bats got hot against Alabama. Then we had that Texas game where we just gritted out a really tough win against a really good bullpen, and then we had the Vanderbilt game, which we will not be talking about and covering on this show because that was embarrassing. And so I think it's just like, I don't know, I guess you could say it's a microcosm of the season, kind of just inconsistency. The pitching depth has been an issue all year. If you've been listening to the show for a while, when we reviewed or previewed the season, Blake, I said, I'm looking at the pitching depth. Pitching depth might not be as good. We lost a lot of guys from last year's team, and that's just at first, like when we started 20-0, it looked like that wasn't going to be an issue. But once we hit SEC play, it became an issue pretty quickly, and it's how we ended our season. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, it doesn't impact us during the tournament, but it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough.
We absolutely talked about that. You talked about that specifically when we previewed the season, like you said. You said, hey, pitching depth is potentially an issue. And then now here we are previewing the postseason. And I have a feeling that that's going to be once again a potential theme for this preview of the postseason. But folks, we're going to get into all that. We're going to talk about just kind of our thoughts on the first and foremost the regional that's coming up. We'll get into who we've got in the regional, and then our path to Omaha, baby. It's going to be a tough path, especially in the super regionals. We're going to get that out of the way. Like Austin said, we're not going to touch too much on the Vanderbilt game and the SEC tournament. We have done our sovereign duty, and we have mentioned it. Okay,
Yeah, that's about all we'll
so
do.
that's all we're
No,
gonna
no
do.
review necessary.
No review necessary because frankly there wasn't much to review. Um, but folks, listen, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Okay, we really appreciate y'all's support. Again, this channel has been growing like crazy. Even, we were just talking about before we started recording tonight that even our baseball episode, most recently our live stream that was heavily centered on the baseball team, which we know is still kind of growing in fans' minds, for the Vols. It's still, doing really well. Y'all are really enjoying the content. And so we really appreciate the support. So again, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, turn on the notification bell if you want to, but at least give us a like, give us a comment. We'd really appreciate it. It really helps the channel. So, Austin, we are going to dive in to tonight's show. Like I said, we'll start with the regionals, talk about kind of the pool that we've got here, and then we'll move to the path to Omaha, and then just, kind of general thoughts on what it might look like once we get to Omaha. Knock on wood, right? So in the regionals, we are hosting a regional, so that was
We are.
nice. We did enough to host a regional, and we have got in our regional pool Miami of Ohio, Wake Forest, and Cincinnati. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Austin, on this regional pool, and how do you like our chances?
Well, my first overall thoughts are we're coming off a national championship. Obviously, Tony V did what we haven't been able to do in a while, and get a championship in a major sport. So we have clearly been spoiled this year because in a year where we're still hosting a regional, like you said, we're a top 14 seed overall seed in the entire country. We won 40 plus games. We made a deep run in the SEC tournament. And now people are considering that like a down year for Tennessee baseball. And that only happens if Tony V completely turns around the program, has multiple trips to Omaha and a national championship to boot. And we still have a chance to make the Omaha. Like, that's the thing. Like, this season is not done yet. If I'm being honest, I don't know if we're going to make a huge run there or if we're going to even get there to begin with. But it starts with this regional, like you said. It starts with this regional, Miami of Ohio, Friday night. And if we win that game, we will play the winner of Wake Forest and Cincinnati. And if we win that game, then we will play the winner of the 1-1 matchup. It's a double elimination style in the regionals. And if we win that game, then boom, we're done. You have to win 3 games in this regional setting. But if we lose that Sunday game, then this series could be extended till Monday. That's how the regionals work. It's a little bit different. Once you get to the super regionals, then it's just a classic weekend series like we're used to during the regular season. So I'll be honest, dude, I don't know a lot about Miami of Ohio, Wake Forest, or Cincinnati. I haven't watched a lot of baseball outside the SEC this season. But I will say that it's concerning because you have to win 3 games. We haven't won 3 games a lot this year. Like, we have very few sweeps. I think we swept Florida, and that's it in SEC play. And like, my only confidence is, Blake, that we were undefeated outside of conference, outside of the ETSU game. So we were undefeated outside of the conference, except for ETSU in the midweek. So that's kind of relieving. But Wake Forest always has a good program, man. Like, they're one of the top baseball programs in the entire country. We kind of got a little bit of a rivalry with them over the last few years because, if I'm not mistaken, we played them last year in the regional, and also where they were at least in our bracket. I don't know if we ever end up playing them. I can't remember. I'm blanking on that. But Chase Burns went there, right? He transferred there from Tennessee, and that was a big point of contention for people. So we got a little bit of rivalry with them going. But yeah, man, the fact that we have to win 3 games with our pitching depth concerns is worrying, man. That is worrying to me.
It is a worry, absolutely, because you're hitting the nail on the head. We haven't done that much this season, and that speaks to the. I guess we're gonna, now start to talk about this talking point of the pitching depth, right? That speaks to the lack of pitching depth, and so I guess that brings me to my next thought. Austin, is like, what do we think the lineup is going to look like? I think you mentioned before we started recording that we might go with this setup that we kind of started toying with in the Arkansas series, and then heading into the SEC tournament where we started Marcus Phillips first and then Liam Doyle. And then, of course, Tegan Coons / the rest of the bullpen for the 3rd game. But I wonder, if with this setup where we have to win 3 games like you're talking about, do we need to go back to Liam Doyle starting the first game so that we have him by the time the Monday game rolls around, if that's necessary, which I believe he would be available to play if he were to go on Thursday, right? Or I'm sorry, on Friday, right?
Probably not. It would depend on how much he pitched. Like, maybe he would be in the bullpen at that point. He definitely wouldn't start the Monday game if he throws 100 plus pitches in that Friday game. I think, Blake, what we'll end up doing is what we've done the last couple of weeks, because it's kind of worked. Like, it worked in theory against Arkansas, right? We start Marcus Phillips on that Thursday game. He gets the job done. He was solid in that Thursday game against Arkansas. And it looks like, hey, we got this series wrapped up. We got Liam Doyle on the bump on a Friday night, which he's used to. It's the 2nd game of the series, but it's still Friday night. This is Liam Doyle's. This is, his game to lose, basically. And he had his worst game of the season. And that kind of continued on into the SEC tournament. Like, again, same strategy, right? We roll out Marcus Phillips against Alabama, the first game of the SEC tournament. It goes fairly well. Marcus Phillips did his job. It was a little rough in the bullpen, and we made some errors once again, so it didn't look great as far as a defensive perspective overall, but we still won the game, right? The bats got hot, whatever, and it's once again looking really good. You have Liam Doyle against Texas. Well, I mean, we won the game, but let's not mistell the story. Liam Doyle was not good against Texas. He didn't have his stuff all day. It was really Brandon Arvinson that came in and got the job done for us in that game, which is huge. Like, that's a huge addition, like, because now Arvinson's going to be a big part of this rotation. Believe that. Like, he's going to be in the bullpen and make I'm assuming a few appearances in this postseason, but again, it's like, yeah, it worked in theory, putting Liam Doyle second in this rotation, but it only really works if Liam Doyle has his stuff. Like if Liam Doyle gets his stuff back. But I still think, it was successful enough that that will be the strategy. I think we'll see. This is my prediction. I think we'll see Marcus Phillips on Friday, and then we'll end up seeing Liam Doyle in the winners matchup, if you will. If we win on Friday, which I hope we can beat Miami of Ohio, like let's do that, please. If we win that game, then I believe we'll see Liam Doyle against the winner of Wake Forest and Cincinnati.
All right. Well, I like your confidence in that setup. And I think that is going to give us the best chance to win, or I should say, get out of the regional. Right? Is win that second game. I do think it's going to be critical to win that winners matchup, like you said, so that we can go into that Sunday game where it's like, hey, then all of a sudden on Sunday you got two chances to beat this third and final team, and so. Gotta get that stuff back for Liam Doyle, no doubt. Because assuming that we do get out of the regionals, Austin, the path does not get easier,
No,
right?
it doesn't.
So
And I was going to
we,
touch on just real quick as far as the
yeah,
regional is concerned, like outside of those first two games, because like I said, you have to win those. Like even if you go 2-0, Blake, we have to win the third game. We have to win
right.
the third game, and it's good. That's where the rotation to me gets interesting because it's like, who's it going to be? Like, is it going to be Coons in the third game? Are we going to use AJ Russell out of the bullpen? Because people forget. So I heard somebody say, "Oh, if AJ Russell can become our third starter, then we're looking good." Well, it's like, well, you didn't watch the whole regular season. They tried that at some point. At
Yeah.
some point, AJ Russell was the starter on Sunday. They tried that for at least two series. It didn't work. So like, is that going to be the strategy again? Are they going to go back to AJ Russell trying to be the guy to get that third win? Or is it going to be Coons? And if you go to the fourth game, it's like, if Russell came out of the bullpen and he's not available to start, Coons starts the third game, we lose. Like, who's going to be the starter? There's going to be like a new starting pitcher that hasn't really been a guy that's been used in SEC play to start. Like, maybe it's a guy out of the bullpen that starts, but like, again, still it's going to be a new starter. So it's going to be interesting how they take it. Again, my prediction will be, I think they'll go Coons for the Sunday game, and then I think they'll save, maybe AJ Russell pitches a little bit in the Friday game out of the bullpen, but I think they'll save him for a start on Monday because he's actually done it. Like, he's actually been there and done that. So obviously ideally you go 3-0, but again, we just haven't seen that a lot this year. But I'll reiterate, my confidence is that we looked really good outside of SEC play, and obviously the SEC is absolutely loaded. Like, we're seeing that in this bracket. Like, you see all these top 8 seeds. It's like we had most of these teams on our schedule, and like
Yeah.
you go into the top 16 seeds, like we had more of those teams on the schedule. So that just kind of speaks to how tough our schedule was this year, and I think it will be easier outside of the footprint. So
And we didn't get swept by any of these
true,
teams,
we did
right?
not.
That are in this tournament, because if I'm not mistaken, Austin, Texas A&M, which we didn't get swept by Texas A&M either,
They didn't make it.
but they didn't make it. So, like we didn't get swept by any of these teams. We've won against these teams, but it is obviously the most difficult conference in the country.
No doubt.
And the hope is that the hitting power outside of the SEC is lacking compared to these SEC batters, right? And so maybe Tegan Coons can pull out, go ahead and get us out of there at 3-0. That would be absolutely lovely. Do you think there's a chance that Arvidsson starts? I mean, did he show enough to where he might get a start?
I think you have to use him out of the bullpen, man. Like, I think you found something in Ardvinson that you have to play into, because we've talked about how this bullpen has just been like lacking depth all season, and even the guys that they rely on a lot are inconsistent. So I think getting a guy that showed it against Texas. I mean, listen, Texas isn't really known for like their hitting. Like, they don't have like a loaded lineup. But still, I mean, we're talking about, what, they're the number 2 overall seed in the entire country. Like, for him to come in and do what he did against Texas, he showed enough, man, where whether he's going to be a starter, like a potential starter for this regional round, or I mean, he's going to be a big piece in the bullpen, which is exciting, man, because we need that going forward. And once we get out of the regional, like once we get to that super regional, it's just 2 games at that point. Like just get us two
Yeah.
games, and we came really close against Arkansas the first time to do that anyway. So, but yeah, man, it's gonna be a tough path, man. It's gonna be such a tough path, like you said, especially once we get to the super regional matchup.
So that's what we're going to talk about next is the continuing path after these regionals. I do want to say real quick that it is nice, regardless, to know that you've got a weapon in Arvidsson in the bullpen when you've got Nate Snead, God love him, being a box of chocolates. You never know what
Sure.
you're going to get.
That's so true. Pitch to pitch, you don't know what you're going
Pitch
to
to
get.
exactly.
Sometimes you see 99 in the zone, perfect placement, and then sometimes you see 99
The
at the
wildest,
head, man. At
the
the
wildest
head,
pitch
and
you've ever
you
seen.
just
Yeah.
don't know on a pitch to pitch basis with Nate Snead. You just don't know.
You were on my wavelength exactly. Pitch to pitch, it's a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. So it's good to have another weapon in the bullpen. But yes, the super regional. So that is where Austin it gets a little more dicey. Okay,
True.
the regionals, like you've talked about, we've had good play outside of the SC. Even in the SC, we didn't get swept by any of these teams. Obviously we're still a good baseball team and can play toe to toe with any of these teams in this tournament. But Arkansas gave us some trouble, and if we make it out of our regional, unfortunately, you were talking about before we started recording that we drew kind of a tough path. Because our super regional will be assuming Arkansas beats Kansas, North Dakota State, and Creighton, which you think that Arkansas is probably going to beat them.
I mean, I'm surprised they have baseball in North Dakota. Like when do they play that? Like they can play 2 times a year or 2 months a year. Like, so yeah, I'm assuming that Arkansas is getting the job done in Fayetteville.
I'm assuming so as well. Honestly, bro, I think North Dakota State probably just recycles their football players on their
Yeah.
baseball team. I think they're
I
probably
wouldn't be
all
surprised.
I think they're probably all 3-sport athletes. Which, by the way, nothing against the Dakotas. Austin and I actually took a road trip together to South Dakota many years ago. Love the Dakotas. Shout out to Wall Drugstore.
Ball drug, dude.
In
The
South Dakota.
goated ball drug. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. But point is, we think Arkansas is going to make it out of their regional. So that means we're going to have a 3-game series where we have to win 2 games against Arkansas to make it to Omaha. And we were close to beating Arkansas or winning the series against Arkansas.
Yes.
Liam Doyle had a tough game. Talk us through this. I mean, what is this looking like?
Listen, man. First of all, let me just speak to the fact that there's a rivalry with Arkansas there, right? Like Tony V came from Arkansas, and a lot of Arkansas fans were salty about that situation since it's happened. The salt was added to the wound when Tennessee got over the hump and won a national championship because Arkansas, this kind of historic baseball program in a way, they have a legendary coach, have been good for so long, have never been able to win one. So seeing Tony V, your former assistant coach, go win one with Tennessee, that really hurt Arkansas fans, man. It really hurt Arkansas fans. And our fans love to piss off other fan bases on Twitter. So it is now kind of like a rivalry in a way with Arkansas. They don't like us. We don't like them. That's just the reality. And that's fine. Like, it's sports, man. We don't have to like each other. That's fine with me. I have no problem with that. And I have no problem with the Arkansas pitcher saying what he said, that clip of him, because we got to be consistent, Vol fans. If you're fine with our dudes flipping off dudes as they run the bases, I believe it's Jordan Beck that did that back a couple years ago. We got to be, or maybe it was Drew Gilbert. It was either Jordan Beck or Drew Gilbert. We got to be fine with guys saying F you or whatever that guy said. I forget now.
Now, on the flip side, Arkansas fans also can't whine about Tennessee and how, Tennessee's classless and all this, but then be okay with your player doing it. It goes both ways.
But it's like, why concern yourself with Arkansas? Texas
Yeah,
A&M. It's
that's a good point.
Arkansas, people. Come on, like let's be honest. Like it's Arkansas, and
They
that's
they
enough.
need something to be happy about.
Yeah, exactly. Let them be happy about something. But but like you said, man, this was a series that you're playing on a Thursday night. Marcus Phillips gets the job done. It's right when it felt like we were coming out of this hitting slump we were in this Arkansas series. Like we were in a hitting slump for a while. It actually kind of started in the Vanderbilt series, and then that heartbreaking loss on Sunday, not Sunday game against Vanderbilt. But it kind of led into this Arkansas series where on Thursday, the bats get hot. Marcus Phillips does this thing. We win, and it's like, well, as Vols fans, you're feeling great because you did the toughest job, which is get a non Liam Doyle win. That was the toughest job. But then Liam Doyle, look, I mean, like he just didn't have it against Arkansas, man. That's the one thing I say. He didn't have the command. But the more worrying part, Blake, is like it felt like Arkansas knew how to hit on Liam Doyle, which is very concerning because he can get his command back, and he will. He didn't have it in the SEC tournament either. He'll get that back. He'll be fine. He's in a little 2-game slump, whatever. But if Arkansas's hitters have figured out Liam Doyle and it's a good matchup for them, like it's a good hitting matchup for them, then there's really nothing we can do, right? Like there's really nothing we can do. And I'll just be honest, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I have absolutely zero confidence that we can win a series where Liam Doyle doesn't get his win. Like if Liam Doyle doesn't get the job done, then we're cooked. Like we are cooked. Like Marcus Phillips has been hit and miss. Like for the most part, he's been consistently solid. But like the games he starts, like we don't always win for whatever reason. And there's a lot of different reasons: fielding errors, just poor hitting, whatever. But if Liam Doyle doesn't get the win, man, I don't see us getting a win from Marcus Phillips and Tegan Coons, or even if it's AJ Russell. I just don't see that happening. So I hope that Liam Doyle has a bounce back game. If we get to the regionals and we meet up with Arkansas and Fayetteville, I hope Liam Doyle can figure it out and obviously have a bounce back game against Arkansas, and I hope their hitters don't just know how to hit on Doyle, because if that's the case, man, like I said, I don't see us getting to Omaha.
Well, I obviously hope he can too. And I'm going to be honest, I everything you said is correct. However, before you said what you said, I would have said, you know what? Hey, there's a chance. There's always a chance that we could win a series without a Liam Doyle W. However, as longtime listeners of the program know, you have been a Nostradamus on this program, especially when it comes to negative predictions.
Oh,
Uh, and
stop.
so, unfortunately, the chances that it could happen have now absolutely plummeted to 0% because you predicted that. And so, need a Liam Doyle win, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, here's the deal. I do think the law of averages, man. He averaged, I should say, like on average throughout the season. Obviously, he was the best pitcher in the country, right? We
Yes.
know that.
No question.
Everyone knows that. And so I think yes, he had these slumps, these couple of games where he didn't play his best. I don't foresee that continuing with him.
No.
I think the law of averages is going to return. So I do think, especially given, that it was pretty close against Arkansas, it's absolutely a tough path. Could have been tougher. We could have, drawn Vanderbilt or something, in the super regional. But I mean, it is obviously still going to be tough.
Yeah, man. And like, if we get through the regional, what's nice about this, like which getting through the regional is tough, but Tony Vitello has been very good of getting through the regional, especially when we're hosting. Like he's pretty reliable in that sense. So let's just assume we get through this regional, and I think we will. That's my prediction. The nice thing to know is you just need 2 against Arkansas. You literally just need 2, and Marcus Phillips already showed he could do it against Arkansas. And at some point, dude, in all these series where, you have the close Sunday loss to Vanderbilt, where you could have won that series. You have the Auburn series, which was just, God, that was some of the worst days of watching baseball ever. The game's getting delayed, blah, 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 whatever. You have the LSU series where you're literally up 3-0 heading into the 9th inning. on a Liam Doyle day where Liam Doyle pitched possibly his best game of the year, maybe that versus or Ole Miss. It's like it's either one of those games where his best games of the year, and you blow it in the ninth inning, right? Based on mostly fielding errors. Like that's why you blew it. And then, we lose that series by one game. It's like my point of saying all this is like we've been close, man. We've been so close to winning these really tough SEC series against these really tough teams. Like you said, Blake, we haven't been swept all season long. And it's just like it does feel like we're due to win one of these SEC series, and we're built for it, right? Like that's the nice thing about playing in the SEC is we're not going to be shell shocked when we get to the super regional and we have to play a tough SEC team. It's like we've done that for the last 10 weeks. That's what we've been doing like all season long. So we're used to it is one nice thing. And like kind of like you were saying earlier with law of averages, like at some point, this extremely talented Tennessee team is going to find a way to win an SEC series, which that's like we're assuming that. Like we're assuming Arkansas is coming to come out of this regional in Fayetteville, and like so I think I'm definitely not predicting we're losing to Arkansas. I won't have a prediction on that as of right now. We'll wait until after this regional, but I think it's very possible that you can end up winning 2 games against Arkansas because we're already so close. I mean, you're already so close. If Liam Doyle doesn't have his worst game of the season, you wrap that series up and we're all like it's all good. So it's 100% a possibility. And the fact that it's like I don't know, there's just like this aura. Maybe we had some of this on the show too, but there's like this aura that like this baseball team is like just kind of dead in the water and it was like a down year, whatever. It's like, well, I mean, when you really think about it, you're a regional and 2 games away getting back to Omaha, right? And like you're hosting the regional, like you did all that, like you said, haven't gotten swept. It's only I think it only looks rough, dude, because we had all those series losses in a row. Like we had to get on the show every week, like, oh, another tough series loss in the books, dude. Like it's another one.
You didn't change the video description for like 6 weeks in a row.
Exactly. I wasn't even changing the video description because it was like, oh, it's another tough series SEC loss. It's like, so I get it. I get why that was kind of the thought process around the fan base a little bit was, hey, it's a down year, whatever. But I think we got to appreciate what we got right now because we're consistent every year. Like we're not hosting a super regional this year, more than likely, but at least we're hosting a regional top 14 seed in the country with a chance to get back to Omaha, a real chance. Like I think there were probably worse matchups than Arkansas. Like, let's be honest. Like, there were probably worse pools. Sure. Maybe some better ones too. But like, I wouldn't want to play North Carolina right now. I mean, North Carolina, like, you could have flipped Arkansas and North Carolina. They're 4-5. I would rather play Arkansas 100%. Now, I'm not saying that's a guarantee we're beating Arkansas. Like, don't take it that way. If there's an Arkansas fan that watches this, no, I'm not saying that. But the way North Carolina's looked recently, like North Carolina just beat the crap out of Clemson, dude, in the ACC championship game. So, I mean, it could have been worse. A draw, I would say. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and be like, oh, I'm super confident that that wouldn't make any sense. Just like the way the Arkansas series had already went.
Yeah. And, to your point about Arkansas versus North Carolina, who we'd rather have, one thing too, one potential optimistic reason to be optimistic, even despite these SEC losses. And I think you might have mentioned this earlier, but it's like we've seen these teams, right? So not only are we not going to be shell shocked, but also we've got film on them. We've played them. We know, we have a rep against them.
It's a really good point.
These series. And so, that in anything in life, when you have more repetitions, right? The age old adage about practice makes perfect. I had an instructor in the Army one time that said it's not practice makes perfect, it's practice makes and now I forgot what he said, but practice makes persistent, right? Like practice makes he said practice makes permanent, right? Because the more you repeat, right, the more repetitions you have, practice makes permanent. It's going to build those habits, right? It's going to, repetitions, help you become better. And so, and essentially, kind of cement, what your habits are, right? And so we have a repetition against Arkansas. We've seen what didn't work, right? So now we're going to get another repetition against them and have an opportunity to, do it better this time and actually come out on top.
It's
So there is reason to be optimistic. I think obviously there's reason to, obviously it's a tough path. We're not, but there is optimistic reasons to
yeah.
have.
I agree with that because you also have to think we played at Arkansas this year. Like we played at Arkansas a couple weeks ago. So it's like that's a good advantage. Like I would rather go back to a place tough. I mean, that was a tough series, right? I mean, we're literally 2 runs away, 3 runs away from winning the series. So it's like, yeah, I would rather go back and do something more familiar than going to a place that like one of these tough ACC schools that we haven't played, or maybe one of these other SE. Like I wouldn't want to go to play Vanderbilt. I mean, we're two seeds off going to play Vanderbilt again. I definitely wouldn't have wanted that to happen. So yeah, man, I think it was a decent draw. To be honest, I really do. I think it was a solid draw. So I'm optimistic in that standpoint, and I'm also optimistic because, brother, we have Tony Vitello. Like, let's not forget, this is the best baseball coach in the entire country, and his teams do elevate in the postseason. That's a fact. Like that 2023 team looked completely dead in the water until the postseason. Obviously, 2024, like all the doubt about the number 1 seed being able to win the thing, like they haven't won in so many years. We end up getting the job done there. So yeah, man, like his teams definitely elevate their play in the postseason, and we already saw that in SEC play. Like or SEC tournament play. Like, yes, it ended like as bad as it possibly could. Like, there's no worse outcome than getting run rolled in the SEC tournament. That's pathetic. But like at the end of the day, if you're looking at it from a series perspective against Arkansas, it's like, okay, Alabama, Texas, that's 2 wins. Check, check. Like if we can just do that against Arkansas in the super regional, that's all we need to do. So
Yeah.
from that perspective, I feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah, there is definitely a reason to be optimistic about our path to Omaha. Obviously, there is plenty of reason for concern. We've talked about that. But there is also we have a path. There is a path from this regional through the super regional, getting that series win against Arkansas, and then ending up in Omaha. So, Austin, let's end with, unless you have any other thoughts on Arkansas, let's end with just kind of a quick kind of thoughts on, okay, hey, we make it to Omaha. What's next? I mean, we've talked all season long about how Omaha, anything can happen, right? Once you get there, anything can happen. Now, we've got really tough teams that are probably going to be making it to Omaha. Vanderbilt's probably making it, right? North Carolina, you've been talking about how, they were playing really good. Even other SC teams like your Georgia, your, Texas and, Ole Miss, all these teams that are playing really well and we could potentially see in Omaha. It's going to be a tough pool, but again, this is where potentially the SC schedule can, despite how grueling it was, can continue to potentially be an advantage where it's like, okay, we have reps against these teams. We've seen them. We know, who they are, especially Vanderbilt at this point, right? So, I mean, what do you think? If we make it to Omaha, anything can happen, right?
Like you said, anything can happen. I will say if we make it to Omaha, man, what like my lord, dude, just start the construction of the statue now. Like, just considering everything that we lost off that championship team. Like, I mean, I can sit here and go through the names, the pitchers, the hitters, the lineup. The lineup's almost completely different outside of like Hunter Inslee, pretty much. So it's like considering everything we lost off that championship team, if Tony Vitello can find a way to get back to Omaha after losing all of that, after losing 5 straight SEC series to end the regular season, like that would be incredible, man. That would absolutely be an incredible feat. And right there alone, like I know if we make it back to Omaha, everyone's going to be chattering about back to back, especially if we look really hot in these this regional and this super regional. But let's just appreciate like the fact that we're back there because not every team makes it there every year. And plus, like, just consider where this team was, man. Like where we were at points during the season where it felt like we had no chance to get in that car. It felt like we were done like with the potentially hosting, right, Blake? Like until we went into the SC tournament and got the 2 big wins that we got, it felt like we didn't have a chance to host a regional. So that's my first thought process on that. But kind of like you said, man, like once you get in the top eight, what like that's the elite of college baseball. And at that point, I mean, we just got done saying how the number one seed hasn't won in X number of years until we broke that trend. So that just tells you that it's not like college basketball. It's very different, and even college football. Like college baseball, I would say is a lot deeper as far as like the talent pool. Man, it is like the top eight teams. Like any of those teams can win it. Once you get in Omaha, any of those teams can win it. It really doesn't matter where you're seated. And to your point, there's going to be potential familiar foes, like specifically LSU. LSU is a potential matchup in Omaha, in our side of the bracket. And then if we go deeper, you know, we've seen a lot of these teams. Well, listen, there's going to be probably at least four SEC teams in the in Omaha, many of which we've played this season. Like there's really not many that we haven't. We haven't seen Georgia yet this season, but you know that's a potential matchup as well. But you know, again, to your point, like anything can happen, and I'll just say, like, if we get there, though, we should all be content with that, right? You know, we should all be content with that. Now, I hope the baseball team isn't. Like, the baseball team wants to go do great things, and they want to go win championships, and that should be their mindset. But as a fan base, we cannot expect to win this tournament every year because this is such a hard tournament to win, man. Like, it's such a hard tournament to win. So just getting to Omaha would be such a huge feat.
You're absolutely right, and that's very reasonable, right? To be happy with getting to Omaha, because to the point that you're making about Omaha, you know, being the top 8 teams in the country, and essentially at that point anyone can win it because you know the talent depth and all of that. It's very similar in my mind to, and I think everyone would agree. Maybe this is an obvious thing to say, but it's very similar to getting to the Final Four, right?
Yeah.
In the basketball tournament, yes, obviously you want to win it, and that means you are the best of the best and all of that. But when you make it to the Final Four, it's like, man, you know, you're one of the top 4 basketball teams in the country. You flip a coin, and maybe the games go differently in any given day, you know, in college basketball once you get to the Final Four. And so getting to the Final Four in and of itself, I mean, people hang banners for that, right? Because it's a huge feat, especially to get through such a long, grueling tournament and get to that point. Same with college baseball, right? Obviously, if you get to Omaha, that is in and of itself a feat, something to be proud of. And again, like you're saying, you're absolutely right, man. To for Tony Vitello to be able to do that after winning the national championship, after losing the talent that he did, and reloading in this transfer portal era and all of this, and then to get back to Omaha, absolutely massive. It's a very, very reasonable thing. Now, however, and we've talked about on this podcast, you know, we're reasonable Vol fans, right? We're not nega Vols, but we're also not going to be, you know, crazy, you know, and we're not going to we're not going to not speak the truth, right? We're going to speak the truth. We're not going to be unreasonable. However, count me in on the unreasonable fans, Austin. If we make it to Omaha, baby, I'm going back to back national champions, back to back
Hey,
natty daddies.
I like it.
Okay.
I like
Back to
it.
back natty daddies. If we can get to Omaha, I think Tony Vitello, like you said, elevates these teams when we get to the postseason. And you
Oh,
know, if they can get to Omaha, I think they're going to be hungry. I think these mental errors are going to go away. I think you're going to see Dean Curley finally get out of his own head. You're going to see Liam Doyle back to his regular self. And bro, I'm all in on the back-to-back Natty Daddies hat reveal
let me
if we
tell
get
you
to Omaha.
something, man. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of fan bases that don't want to see this team get hot, man. There's a lot of fan bases that don't want to see this team get hot because we burned a lot. We burned a lot of these fan bases in the past, man. We have a recent past, and so I agree with you, man. If like once you get there, it's anyone's ball game, and I wouldn't mind throwing a little bet on Tony V's team because he's done it before. He's done it before. And even though we have a lot of new faces on this team, like a lot of our new contributors are, let's be honest, are the reason we're in the position we're in. So I'm not really worried about the newcomers. It's the older guys, like you said, Dean Curley and Reese Chapman, that kind of need to come out of these slumps. But they've done it in the postseason. Like these are
Right.
two guys. Nate Snead is another guy I'll throw in that bucket. guys that contributed to last year's national championship team. Like at the end of the day, they're all Vol legends. They're all VFLs because they brought a national championship trophy to the baseball program and to the Tennessee Vols. So these are guys that have been there and done that before. So it would be fair to say have confidence in those guys because they've been in this situation before. Another guy, Dalton Bargo, huge game against Evansville last year in the Super Regional. Guy from Omaha wanted to go back home to Omaha, got us to Omaha last year, and then we all know what happened from there. So yeah, man, there's a lot of those guys that are veterans who haven't been playing their best ball recently, who I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden we start seeing Dean Curley doing his thing again. Because, like, dude, he was not a problem at shortstop last year. That's the thing. That's what's so confusing about Dean Curley. And I know they're asking them to do different things, but Dean Curley was reliable last year at shortstop, man. He was a reliable player. So that's why a lot of his like mental stuff has just not made sense. And I'm gonna be with Tony V, man. Like, like we criticize players a little bit on the pod. I think it's fair. We just talk about their game, and hey, if you're getting paid, then you should be able to get criticized. But I'm ride or die with Dean Curley, man. Ride or die with your guy. I love that mindset that from Tony Vitello, man. So, and I think you're right, man. I think he'll start to figure it out. Because again, like unlike a lot of these teams, he's been there and done that last year.
Last year, they got the experience. Tony V's got us to the mountaintop. It is well within the realm of possibility to get back to back and get to that mountaintop twice in a row. And man, I'm hoping for it, man. Talk about the pandemonium on Rocky Top if we get back to back national champions. And listen, some people already hate us, especially in terms of the baseball fan base. Dude, all bets are off. No one is gonna want to be around a Vol fan if we can get back to back national champions,
It's true.
national championships. But hey, when you're winning, it's fun to win, man, and that's who can blame us? Who can blame us?
Also, I got the champion shirt on too. I
There it
didn't
is.
forget.
See,
National
yes,
champions,
let's
baby.
go.
We are still
Let's
champs.
go.
Hey,
See?
until somebody else gets the crown, we are the champs. So let's not forget that, other fan bases.
That is absolutely correct. Until that trophy is hoisted in Omaha, we are still the reigning champs. So you best believe we're not
gonna
going to let
remind
people.
you about that.
We're going to remind you about that. Absolutely. But hey, man, regardless, it's a good time to be a Tennessee Vol because we're winning on all fronts, man. You see all these lists of like only teams in the country to make this postseason and this postseason, and like every single one of them has to, and all the fan bases are like trying to find like. I saw one the other day that was like only teams to make football, basketball, baseball, and volleyball. And like teams are like trying to find ones that their team can fall in.
Yeah.
Well, listen, bro, Tennessee falls in every single one of them.
No doubt about it.
Because we're in the postseason in every single sport.
Speaking of, man, we have to have a little talk on our softball team. They got to Oklahoma City, which is basically the Omaha of softball. Dude, I have to shout out the pitcher, man. Pickens, the pitcher, pitched all 3 games in the Super Regional, bro. She pitched every game. She started literally every game in the Super Regional against Nebraska. Unbelievable, man. In 2 elimination games, she had 21 strikeouts, 2 walks, and 2 wins. That's unreal, dude. She was unbelievable. And yeah, man, our softball team is cooking. And our matchup in Oklahoma City, Blake, is against Oklahoma, who we beat this regular season in softball. We have beat them at Oklahoma this year. So it's going to be interesting. Like, to your point, man, like we're winning on all fronts. Had to shout out the softball team because I don't know if we give them enough love, but shout out to them.
That's exactly what I was going to use that segue as, going from talking about winning on all fronts, segue right into that softball team because you're absolutely right that they're headed to the postseason. They're headed to the pinnacle, looking like they could potentially win it all. And so, hey, man, nice. I want to even do them a disservice and call it a consolation prize if we win a national championship in women's softball. It's like, hey, bring any and all national championships to Tennessee, baby. Bring them to Rocky Top. Rocky Top is the pinnacle of college sports. So bring them all, baby. It don't matter. So absolutely, a lot of love to the Lady Vols softball team. Going to be rooting for them as well. Also, any other final thoughts on just any of this postseason stuff, the baseball team and Omaha prospects?
Let's just enjoy it, man. That's the only thing I'll say. One of the reasons we can do this show year round is because we're competitive in every sport. We have interesting seasons in every single sport, and we all know as Vols fans that has not been the case in literally like within the last 10 years. I mean, there's been years where we're not competitive in any major sport and it's really bleak, but now it's the complete opposite, man. Like it's like we're in the postseason every sport, we're one of the top seeded teams in every sport, and we should just appreciate that, man. Which we already have one national champion. Let's not forget, we already talked about it. We have one, but even if we don't add another this season, let's at least appreciate being competitive and everything.
Absolutely. Appreciate the competitiveness and the fact that, like you said earlier, Tony V has turned around this program, and we're not here, without, him turning around the program and being in this position where we can talk about back-to-back national champion, the possibility of back-to-back national championships, right? So it's where we want to be. It's where we want to be in every sport. It's where we want to be in football, basketball, right? And so it's a good, even it's going to suck if we do lose, but it's a good place to be in, no doubt. Because the bottom line is, bro, look, chalk this up as a prediction from Vol Talk. I don't think Tony V is done with winning national championships. Even if he doesn't win this one this year, I think he's going to bring at least another ring to Tennessee. So
With the way he's recruiting, I wouldn't doubt that at all.
absolutely. Folks, we have been previewing the baseball tournament, NCAA tournament, and the Tennessee Vols. How we're going to do in this tournament here. We talked about the regionals. We've drawn Miami of Ohio, Wake Forest, and Cincinnati, and then if we can get through them, assuming Arkansas also gets through their regional, we'll meet Arkansas in the super regional, and then if we can get over that Arkansas hump, it's back to Omaha, baby, and anything can happen. So we really appreciate y'all joining us for this kind of short episode. May not even call it necessarily part of the regular podcast series, but we had to get out a preview for you guys.
Short-ish. Ended up being about 50 minutes, so short-ish.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Sorry. I was thinking we were going to end around 30 minutes, but we had a lot to say.
Apparently.
Color us shocked, right? That we had a lot to say about Vol
classic
sports. Listen,
Vol Talk.
If you click on a Vol Talk video, and especially if you're listening to this point, this far into the video,
shout out to you, first of all.
Shout out to you, first of all. Like and subscribe.
We like to
talk. But we like to talk. We talk all things volunteer sports, and we talk a lot about Vol sports. So you know what you're going to get when you click on a Vol Talk video. But with that being said, again, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Give us a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments, please, especially the comments, y'all. We really appreciate y'all support. But just let us know what you think. We'd love to get that conversation going with you in the comments. Let us know what you think about the baseball's chance to get through these regionals and then get through the super regionals and just overall our chances to get through Omaha. Let us know what your thoughts on that, on Tony V, all of it. We would really appreciate that. And of course, subscribing to the channel. So folks, we are going to catch you. Austin, I think probably what we're going to do is let's talk about our schedule, right? So we're going to go live after the regionals. So we're obviously hoping that's going to be on Monday, but we'll probably go ahead and tentatively plan on that being Tuesday, right after the regionals have concluded, and we know the regionals have concluded. So one way or another, whether it be Monday or Tuesday, we'll be going live for you guys and do another live episode and review the regionals, and then of course preview our matchup, which we'll know our matchup by that point for the super regionals. So folks, we'll catch y'all on the other side of this weekend and these regionals. Until then, as always, baby, go Vols.
GBO.